Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Online Biology Tutorials. In this video, we will study few bacterial diseases which are a part of chapter number 8, Human Health and Diseases. So let's get started. First of all, we must know that bacterial diseases, they come in the category of communicable diseases, right? Communicable diseases are the ones which can spread from unhealthy to the healthy individual. Thus, they are also known as infectious diseases. Okay, we can use any term, meaning is same. So, bacterial diseases, of course, they will be caused by the bacteria. When any microbe, it causes the disease, we call it as a pathogen. In junior classes, we use the term germs as well. Okay, so germ means all those pathogens that have the capacity to cause the disease. So here, because we are discussing bacterial diseases, so bacteria will be acting as a pathogen and it will invade our body for its nutrition and reproduction. So let's get started, and first we will study the disease called typhoid. Typhoid is a very common disease, and in this disease recurrent fever is there. Means at regular intervals the fever will be there in the affected person. So first of all, we will be learning the name of the causal organism. Okay, causal organism will be the one that will cause the disease. So here in this case, Salmonella typhi. Salmonella is the name of a genus and typhi is the species. Don't forget to underline when you are writing the scientific names, right? Because in normal handwriting, there is a rule that we need to underline them separately. So causal organism means the organism, the pathogen, the germ, the bacteria associated with typhoid is known as Salmonella typhi. And what are the symptoms of this disease? Recurrent fever. Recurrent fever is the main symptom of this disease. Stomach ache is also there. Constipation is also seen. Constipation means inability to pass the stools. Okay, loss of appetite means the affected person will not feel hungry, and of course this will lead to general weakness in the body. Okay, remember the normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. In the case of affected person with typhoid, the temperature ranges from 39 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. This is also important to note it down. This disease requires an early diagnosis as well, because otherwise intestine may develop pores, because this bacteria has the tendency to cause pores in the intestine. So at the later stage, intestine pores may also happen. That is why the people who are affected with typhoid, generally they are being given boiled food with no fat content in it. Okay, very important thing, what is the name of the diagnostic test which is used for typhoid? So the name is Vidal test. So if anyone suspects that he or she is suffering from typhoid, then doctor prescribes Vidal test, and depending upon it, the prescriptions are given. Another important thing that is associated with this disease is the name of Typhoid Mary. This Mary was actually a lady who was a cook, and we know that typhoid is a food and waterborne disease. Means the organism that causes this disease, it stays in the unhealthy food and in the water as well. If such contaminated food and water is taken, then a person also gets suffered from this disease. So this lady, Mary, was actually a cook, and because of poor sanitary conditions, might be she was carrying a part of excreta on her hands and through made her transmit the disease. So Typhoid Mary was the name given to this lady because she transmitted this disease for a longer period of time. So that was all regarding the typhoid. What is important that you please keep in mind, what is the name of the causal organism, what are the symptoms related to this disease. If it is left untreated or diagnosis is done late, the bacteria has the tendency to rupture the intestine because it causes pores in the intestine, and this is quite fatal for an organism, and in later cases even death may also happen. Typhoid is detected by Vidal test, and this is generally water and foodborne disease, so food should always be covered and freshly cooked food should be taken and contaminated water should be avoided. There was a lady called Mary who has transmitted this disease for a longer period of time. So we call this lady by the name of Typhoid Mary because she spread the disease typhoid through her excreta in her hands, because she was a cook and bacteria was there in her hands which she passed on to the food, and this contaminated food was consumed by many, and the people who consumed, they also suffered from typhoid. Now this is one bacterial disease. Now let's get on to another one, and now we have to study pneumonia. So our next heading is pneumonia. This is a disease that affects the respiratory system of the human being. The causal organism of this disease is Diplococcus pneumonia. And this Diplococcus genus, in place of Diplococcus, it could be Streptococcus as well. So coccus are all those bacteria that are spherical in shape. If they are occurring in group of 2, then they are known as Diplococcus, and if these spherical bacteria, they are occurring in a chain, then we call them as Streptococcus. So pneumonia is caused by Streptococcus pneumonia or Diplococcus pneumonia. This is a disease of the respiratory system, and it is generally characterized by cough, chills, chest pain, weakness, and sputum also gets deposited in the lungs, because of which chest gives a special sound which is known as walking chest. So if the person who is affected with pneumonia, when someone touches their chest, it seems like it is producing some sound, and we call this symptom as the walking chest. Chills means shivering happens in the affected individual. Cough means cough, generally dry cough is there, and chest pain and weakness are the common symptoms. Okay, so with this disease, no much detail you are supposed to learn, just the causal organism and the symptoms, right? Now we are heading towards the third disease, which is caused by bacteria, and this is Bacillary Disentry. Remember, whenever you are writing dysentery in the case of bacteria, please do mention bacillary word as a prefix, because there is one dysentery which is caused by protozoa as well. Okay, this disease is also known as shigellosis. This is the common name of this disease, and this disease is caused by bacteria. So the causal organism of this disease is Shigella shiggi. Okay, the Shigella is the genus, Shiggi is the species name. In Bacillary Disentry, stomach cramps occur. Cramps are actually the on and off pain which is felt by the affected individual. Mucus is passed in the stool, and if it is left untreated, then in the excreta along with mucus, blood also comes. Okay, so the name of the disease is Bacillary Disentry, which is known as shigellosis also. It is caused by Shigella shiggi, and the symptoms of this disease are stomach cramps, mucus in the excreta, and mucus, if it is left untreated, this disease may lead to the passage of blood also in the excreta along with mucus, right? Another disease is diphtheria, and this is again the disease of the respiratory system, and the causal organism for this disease is Corynebacterium diphtheria. Okay, so the causal organism is diphtheria. Okay, so this is again the respiratory disease in which intense coughing is there, and diphtheria is one disease for which you were also vaccinated when you were in your infancy stage. Okay, so the vaccine with the name of DPT was given to you. Here D stands for diphtheria. Okay, so diphtheria is one vaccine for which you were vaccinated. Remember, till now we have studied typhoid, we have studied pneumonia and diphtheria also. Pneumonia and diphtheria, they both are the respiratory diseases in which respiration is affected, and we also studied Bacillary Disentry. The last disease which you must know is plague. Plague is caused by Yersinia pestis. This is the name of the bacterium that causes this disease. This disease is generally in the rats, and when the causal organism causes death of the rat, the bacteria inhabits in the human body. Okay, so this is all that is important to know, that plague is caused by Yersinia pestis. So all these bacterial diseases, they are curable with the help of the medicines which are known as antibiotics, because antibiotics are those chemicals that are produced by bacteria or fungi, and they act on other bacterial individuals. Okay, so antibiotics, they are quite useful in treating all the communicable diseases that are caused by bacteria. So names of these bacterial diseases are important. Specifically, typhoid is very important because much details are given in the NCERT, so we must know each of it. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for now.